We're at Florida Supercon in Fort Lauderdale, the Broward County Convention Center. I have the pleasure to ask a few questions to WWE Hall of Famer, someone that helped revolutionize women's wrestling, Lita. Thank you so much, Lita.
Hello, how are you?
You're here in Fort Lauderdale. Now, everyone's telling me, wait a minute, Lita's actually a South Florida girl. So, talk a little bit about Deerfield Beach and about South Florida and growing up here.
Yeah, I had two phases here. I was born a Broward County baby, right here in Fort Lauderdale. Moved away when I was really young, but I did go to middle school just right up the road in Deerfield Beach. And so some things do come back to me, you know, just being around here. I had a friend from middle school come and show me Polaroid pictures of us from like pizza parties and roller skating parties back in the day. So it was a fun, like, kind of walk down memory lane.
Were you athletic when you were growing up?
Swim team was my thing, like as a kid. Did that all the way through high school, and then got into the martial arts later. So my main thing was swim team, and people always ask me about a gymnastic background, but it just couldn't get me out of the water.
What was it like for you starting your pro wrestling journey?
Well, so when I was starting my pro wrestling journey, I was playing in bands and taking martial arts, and when I saw wrestling, I was like, man, it's like the best of both worlds. You're a rock star and an athlete in one gig, and never looked back. I think it worked out okay.
I think it worked out better than okay. When you got into WWE, you were paired with S.A. Rios. What were you thinking when you first got there and they put you here and just what you were going to be doing?
Yeah, you know, so they had us show Super Astros before with a lot of the Lucha Libre style guys, and that was kind of that was not on the air anymore, and some of the guys they held on to. And S.A. Rios at the time was known better now in Mexico and then as Mr. Aguila. And when I was down in Mexico, Mr. Aguila was my favorite guy down there. So while he wasn't one of the more well-known characters on the roster at the time, and someone may have, when they said, this is the plan, we're going to put you with this guy, may have been like, oh man, like, I want to be paired with, you know, some of the bigger stars. That was the perfect person they could have put me with, because I was like, no way, that's the guy that I saw that I couldn't take my eyes off of in Mexico, and now we get to do our thing to a worldwide audience. So it couldn't have been a better way for us to start that chapter together.
And then you were paired with the Hardys and that Team Extreme. When did you know, whoa, wait a second, this is getting going here?
Yeah, it took off pretty fast, you know, and I feel like I wasn't really supposed to be the girl that was supposed to fall into the hearts of everybody in their living room, but it just kind of caught on. And while we might have just been on heat or just getting, you know, lower on the card shows, that Lita chant, you know, you guys started making that happen and started getting that momentum of getting to that next level. And I think when I knew things were really taking off had to have been when The Rock was a special guest referee against my match with the boss's daughter, Stephanie McMahon. That's when you kind of realize things are happening. It is hard to pinch yourself and to know when you're in the middle of it, that it's happening.
And with that too, so for you, was that the moment where everyone starts saying, hey, we can do more with her. We can make her a single star. She doesn't have to be paired with anybody. Was it around that time or was it another time?
I mean, that was before. I mean, when they knew they wanted to put me with the Hardys, you know, and they told me about some plans and told me about plans to Stephanie paraded around with that title on her shoulder for so long, specifically to make people mad. To go, she doesn't even wrestle, that's no fair. So that when someone came in and took that off of her, it gave that title power and people knew that it meant something again. And so that was all a pretty long-term strategic plan, and they knew when I had word that they're like, whenever that moment's right, you're going to be the one to take that title off of Stephanie's shoulder. It's kind of when I was like, oh, like that's pretty crazy. So I think it was pretty early on that, and then just kind of one thing rolled into another.
And then what about helping elevate the women's division, and especially great matches with Trish Stratus and main eventing shows like Raw and things like that? When you're in the moment, is it something you're really not thinking about and then later on you think about it? Or no, at that moment, because it was so big, you are thinking about it?
No, you know, you really, we have live TV every week. We have live events, you know, that aren't televised every week. And so when you're in the thick of it, you don't really realize what's happening, or you don't get a lot of chance to appreciate, soak it in, and think about how it could affect the greater landscape. So I think it's really not until first when I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I kind of had a little bit of a moment to be able to reflect on my career as a whole. I interacted with fans on social media before going into the Hall of Fame, saying, what meant a lot to you? What were your favorite moments in my career? Being reminded of all those good times. And then, so that was one time, and then again getting involved behind the scenes with NXT, and then involved even future with the Mae Young Classic, and 32 women in one tournament. Like each of these moments, I feel like it soaks in a little bit more of watching the women take our ball that we tried really hard to keep up there and just throw it as high as they can, and watching that is like I get really emotional and thinking about it even, but watching the success and the determination and the passion and really the varied background of all of these women from all over the world and different avenues of life, drawing a connection to this business that I've loved for so much, and seeing their interpretation and taking the women and the perception of women in the business that much further. It's really special, and it really touches me, it touches my heart. And as much as I have a lot of the women come up to me and say that I inspired them to maybe start their journey, their own story, it's very inspiring watching them and seeing what they're doing.